Clerk will call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy C. Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Marty Van Ravensway, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation this morning will be delivered by Ron Bertel from the Auditor's Office. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges.
Thank you. Thank you. Could all bow with me, please? Our Heavenly Father, hallowed be your name. You are worthy of our honor and praise, and we declare this as we begin our meeting today. Father, as we go about the business of government, we are reminded of some great leaders of the past who led your people through very difficult times. There's no denying that our nation is going through a difficult time. So we pray that our leaders here today would look to the traits that allowed those of the past to succeed against seemingly insurmountable odds. Joseph faced many years of wrongful captivity, but led Egypt through a 7-year famine. Moses stood against Egypt and led the Israelites out of captivity. David completed the taking of the promised land and established a great kingdom. Each of these servants had trials and failures, but when they relied on your wisdom, your power, and your leadership, their success was complete and nothing short of remarkable. And each was quick to give you the glory for the success and not claim credit for themselves. We are reminded by the results of those leaders that they were able to obtain through your power that nothing is impossible for you. Give our leaders here and across this great land servant hearts like Joseph, Moses, and David, that your blessings might continue to be received in our land. May your power and glory be seen here today. Finally, we pray for Haiti. May your healing power be poured out on that nation, both for physical and spiritual healing. Bless the people of Haiti and the people working so hard to rescue and to restore the basic elements of orderly life there. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thanks again, Ron. Appreciate you. Mr. Manius, agenda announcements.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have one announcement. This concerns purchasing item 8K3, which is the sale of recycled paper. Whenever this item is presented to you by Mr. Beecham, he will have a court communication to hand out that will show the various prices and the recommended purchaser. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Court members, you have before you the minutes of our January 26th meeting.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. This is the first Tuesday, and so we have a full courtroom, and we have an opportunity to, at this time, recognize our employees who are celebrating their 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 35, in this instance, 35 years of service to the county. So, as is the practice, stand up when you think you hear your name or some form thereof pronounced, and we'll do 5 years, and then after we've finished with each one of the different segments, we'll give you a small bit of our appreciation and recognition for your time, and then we'll move on to the next group. Our first is our 5-year employees, and the first one is Teresa Ashwander, District Clerk's Office. There you go. Lori Bennett, District Attorney's Office. Dora Izangiri. I know I didn't get anywhere near on that one. She's not here, or she didn't recognize her name. She's with CSCD. Douglas Jones with CSCD. Welcome. Christy Kirsten, 360th District Court. No. You got to keep standing over there. Nobody's sitting down yet. Jason McGeehee, Public Health. Barton Miller, criminal court support. Amy Mills, District Attorney's Office. Valerie Okorike. Was I anywhere close? Thank you. Did y'all hear that?
He's got a cheat sheet up here.
Valerie.
Don't be telling that. Tara Perkins, CSCD. Tara, welcome. Carolyn Range, Information Technology. Mark Schob, Purchasing. Nelda Sivernell, CSCD. Alice Steele, Auditor's Office. Welcome. Johnny Taylor, Facilities Management. Ryan Werstein, Public Health. Ismail Williams, Sheriff, Confinement. I knew I was messing that one up.
Ishmael.
Judy Williams, Public Health. Let's give these 5-year employees a round of applause. And I will tell each one of you, don't blink, because in a very short period of time, you'll be up individually, and I'll be recognizing you for 20 years. And many of you are thinking right now, no, that won't be me. And I can tell you that all the folks that I've spoken with on a regular basis tell me they never dreamed they would be with the county the 20 years that they've been with them, or 25, or whatever it may be. So welcome, and we appreciate very much your service to Tarrant County. Now for our 10-year employees. Valerie Baston, District Attorney's Office. Cosette Brannon, CSCD. Larry Christian, Precinct 4 Maintenance. Larry. Eugenia Cundiff, Sheriff, Community Relations.
Standing
Welcome.
on the wall.
Vicki Hart, Sheriff, Confinement. Vicki. Alan Marconi, Juvenile Services. Frederick Miller, Sheriff, Warrants. Michelle Payne, CSCD. Michelle. Deborah Radiford, Public Health. Nathaniel Robertson, Sheriff, Confinement. Sherry Stevens, District Attorney's Office. Richard Turner, Juvenile Services. Richard. Carolyn Van Winkle, Medical Examiner. Lori Varnell, District Attorney's Office. Jimmy Willis, CSCD. Let's give these 10-year employees a big hand. Now for our 15-year employees. Reggie Davis, Juvenile Services. Dana Dickon, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 7. Charles Gibson, District Attorney's Office. Rhonda McDonald, County Clerk. Judy K. Seabury, District Clerk's Office. Judge Ellen Smith, the 323rd District Court. Judge. Michael Smith, the Medical Examiner's Office. Thomas Tom, Sheriff, Confinement. Welcome, sir. Tina Valdez, Human Resources. Tina. And Christopher Williamson, Sheriff, South Patrol. Let's give these 15-year... And now, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, for those folks 20 and above, they get a phone call from me, sometimes a week or so before, sometimes the Sunday before. Many of them this time got it the Sunday before. And what I have found is that a lot of times if I do catch them on the weekend or after hours, they have a little bit more of a chance to kind of think about what the questions I'm asking them, and they don't seem to be quite as, they're in the middle of their job the other times, and so it's the job just is distracting from times to time, and it's heck that we have to do it. But our first 20-year employee is Bill Allen, Precinct 4 Maintenance. Has been with the county, again, for 20 years. Started as an equipment operator 1, now as an equipment operator 3 out in JD's precinct. When I asked him about kind of the, over the time, what was memorable to him, he said it was really the improvement in the equipment that he's had a chance to work with, and, what the equipment was like 20 years ago versus what he's having a chance to work on. And, many of us can relate to that as we think about wherever we may be. Things were a lot different 20 years ago than what they are right now. When I asked him what he liked most, he said, I have an opportunity every day to work with a bunch of great guys and folks who really look at it and work as a team, and that they know as a team they can succeed in just about anything that they get into. When I asked him if there was anything else, he said, first off, he was in Air Force Reserve for 6 years and actually went to Bosnia, I think, during that time frame. He's a licensed peace officer and worked as a reserve with Dub Branson prior to that with the city of Saginaw. And again, what I think it highlights and what we talk about in here from time to time and on a pretty regular basis is the second mile giving spirit that so many of you have and so many of our county employees have. They take care of their job, they do their job great, but when the day is over from their job, they look for other ways to help their community. And Bill is certainly an example of that, and Bill, we appreciate very much the 20 years you've given us. Thank you. Next is Sandy Carter with the District Clerk's Office. There's Sandy. Sandy started out in the District Clerk's office when Tom Hughes was, the District Clerk at that point in time, and now is working, obviously, with Tom Wilder. Started off in the delinquent tax accounts and now does appeals for the 17 different courts, which are basically your civil, your family, and your juvenile courts. When I asked her what she liked most, she said, again, it was she really loved her job and enjoyed the people that she had a chance to work with. She said it's always learning something new. It just seems like every day there's that opportunity to learn something new in what she's doing. Said that she really enjoys our benefit programs and our WOW program, and that it's given us a lot of incentive to try to be healthier and to do that, and she indicated that she really appreciated that. And Sandy, I tell you, we appreciate very much the 20 years you've given us. Thank you. Next is Wes Curry, who is in the Sheriff's Department, has been there for 20 years. Wes started out in the Sheriff's Department as the male property dressing officer at Belknap, which basically means that they had to inventory all the stuff they came in with, get them in their uniforms, and then get them in their jumpsuits. We don't want them in their uniforms. And then moving into the center, he went to the new corrections center as the intake officer, and then security as security control officer. Been at the release desk, transportation. Then in the expedition area, Wes has had a chance to see just about the entire department and kind of see the operations of the entire department. He's moved to the courts in March of 2009 and is now the bailiff for Judge Ken Curry. No relation, or at least they haven't found any relation yet, if there is. Memorable moments, and this is something I've heard frequently from folks in the Sheriff's Department, is that first day of walking into the jail, especially over in the old Belknap facility when you had that big old steel door, and walking in there and that big old door slamming behind you, and you realizing, okay, I'm in here now. What he liked most was, again, the benefits, the steady pay. And he said he felt like it was a good, honorable, and respectable job, and that meant an awful lot to him. and then he said he felt like it was a secure job. Wes, we appreciate very much the 20 years you've given us. Thank you for your dedication. Next is someone who, if you're in this building, you're very familiar with, Randy Gause, Sheriff Courts. Randy, stand up. Randy's been with us for 20 years. Randy brought his wife along with him this morning. We thank you and welcome you to the courts. Started off in the Belknap Jail and then went to the Correction Center, and then from there went over to the courts and worked for Judge Salvan, and then then with Judge Lehrman, and then came over and has been working in the administration building for a while. He said, when I asked him about the more memorable moments, he said working in the jail was a very interesting place. You'd always see something a little bit different. And when I asked him what he liked most, he said, I've enjoyed every place that he's had a chance to work. He loves his current job because he has a chance to meet people and to help those people with whatever they need from the county. And those of us who know Randy know that he really does enjoy helping people out and providing them with that assistance. He said it's been a good, steady job. The benefits have been good. When I asked him if there was anything else, he said, I worked in the Arlington Transportation Department before coming to Tarrant County. But when I saw this job posted, he said, I really felt the Lord telling me that this was the place I needed to be. And Randy, we're very glad of that, and you have been a tremendous asset to us here at Tarrant County, and thank you for the 20 years. Next is Larry Hart, sheriff in the confinement area, 20 years. Larry, there's Larry in the back there. Started off in the sheriff's department at Green Bay and was the first, when they moved into the new correction center, he was the first officer serving the first breakfast in the first pod of that new correction center. He stayed there until about a year and a half ago when he moved, and now he does clinic runs for the department. It talks about, I think, the whole effort of folks to work with and to be a part of. He was considering retiring and went to Chief Knowles and, had some issues with family and with just some health issues that were going on, and he needed a little bit different schedule. And he talked to Chief Knowles, and he remembers and says how much he appreciated the fact that he was willing to work with him and to help him out. To take care of some of the family issues he had going on. He said that flexibility of the staff to help him work through those issues made him reconsider and to stay with the county. He said he loves that. It's the ability, and he also loves the ability to give back to people who he works with and really have an opportunity to take care of them. He spent, he spent 20 years, then after 2 years came to the county. And I'm having some problems reading my own notes here. But one of the things he did say is he said, I really don't want a whole lot of recognition. He said, just the less you say, the better off and the happier he would be. And there he goes, giving me the thumbs up. And Larry, what I want to say to you is we very much appreciate the 20 years you've given us. We hope you'll be here for quite a while longer. Thank you. Next is this is a good story with this one. Ernie Lopez from Juvenile Services. Where's Ernie? Oh, now come on, Ernie, you got to be here.
It was a good story, so he stayed away.
You're good.
Well, we're going to tell this. No. Okay, wait a minute. I got to back up because I got to read a little bit further down in my notes. I knew he wasn't going to be here. And that's a story in and of itself, too. Ernie is in the juvenile services area. Right now, Tarrant County, along with Bexar and Dallas County, are entered into a program where we're writing, as it were, software program for juvenile services case management.
Right.
And as a part of that, each one of us have people who are in Austin on a weekly basis helping to write this program. So they go down on a Monday, and then they usually come back up and spend it with their families on the weekend. But Ernie is one of these folks, and it has been a tremendous commitment, but at the same time, as he said, it is going to be a tremendous result. He truly believes that as a result of this, the officers, the people in juvenile services are going to have a much more ability to spend time in the field than sitting in front of a computer entering information. So first off, I did thank him for the time that he had and the time that he spent and the commitment he's making to this program. Now, he started in the juvenile area and has been there for 20 years and has been in many different positions. When he started there, he was 6 months out of college, so he's a little green, and he ran errands. Now, at this time, Kerry Cockrell was the head of the juvenile services area, and Roy English was the county judge. And so he was running errands, and you'll remember the time when we had the little parking lot out here just across Commerce. Well, he was running an errand downtown and needed a place to park. And there wasn't anybody in that judge's parking spot. And most days he said he didn't see a whole lot of cars there, and so he parked, but it happened to be a Tuesday morning. Well, he parked there, and the next thing he knows, he walks back out, and Judge English has left a card on his deal telling him to come up and see him in his office. Now, in the meantime, this didn't happen all at once. Judge English got there, was not too happy, and parked on the sidewalk between his spot in the parking lot and the street. And so he came up and he was mad, and he found out who it was, and he'd left the card there. But in the meantime, Judge English decided he was going to call a towing company to tow that county vehicle off. Well, they hooked up his Jaguar, and he did happen to see it, and so he got down there and was able to convince the towing company not to tow his car. And in the meantime, Ernie was sitting up in the judge's office waiting for the judge to come back. Well, some way or another, Kerry had gotten wind of this. And Kerry picked up the phone and called Ernie and said, "Get out of there." Now, Ernie had been here just a little over 6 months. And that's a critical period of time for a probationary employee. All of you know that. And so Kerry said, "Don't you go in that judge's office. You get out of there right now, and you get back to this office, and I'll intervene, and we'll see if we can keep your job at the time." And so he laughed about that, and he said, because both of them, he said he thanked both of them for allowing him to stay and to be able to spend the 20 years. He said he came this close to only spending 6 months with Tarrant County. And, I did not serve with Judge English, but apparently he wasn't happy about the fact that somebody was in his parking spot. So when you see Ernie, kid him about his parking and thank him for the 20 years of service that he's done, and especially for his work on this project that we're undertaking, because I think it's going to be a tremendous package, and we're getting close to having this done. The next individual is Lee Pebbles, 20 years in the 348th District Court. Lee, welcome. Started out in the 67th Court, and then moved over to the 348th with Judge Chapman, and now works with Judge Womack. When I asked her about some of the more memorable cases, she said, I remember the Riata case as a result of the tornado, and the fact that it just went on forever, and the fact that right before it was supposed to go to trial, as so many cases I think sometimes do, it's settled. But that literally a week usually didn't go by that something wasn't going on in the court on that particular case. She also said that at this time they've also got some other big profile cases. When I asked her what she liked most, she said it was the staff and the people she'd had a chance to work with, and really went back to the compassion that everybody showed for the folks that came in and came into their courtroom on a day-to-day basis. We were having a great conversation, and then she kind of said to me, she says, I am retiring at the end of February. And I said, no, I didn't. And Lee, I really want to tell you how much we appreciate the 20 years you've given to Tarrant County. Thank you very much. Next is Dolores Potter, was sheriff, booking area for 20 years. There she is. Started off in the sheriff's department as a jailer at the Belknap on the women's floor. And if you'll recall, well, most of you probably weren't here last month, but we talked last month about the fact that at that time you had floors that, the floor was either the women's floor and it just was dedicated to that. Then she moved over when she moved over to the corrections center, she moved into the MHMR pod. Then went to Green Bay and then was in the low-risk area and is now in the booking area. And when I asked her about her more memorable moment, she talked about the early days of this MHMR program and the success it has become, and just went on and on about how passionate she was really about that program and what a big difference that she feels like it's made. When I asked her what she liked most, she said it was the supervisors, the people that she's had a chance to work with, some of the policies and the way the sheriff's department works and is run. And she said the fact that it's really a place for a career. It's not just a job; it's a place where people can make a career there. When I asked her if there was anything else, she said, the time has really flown by, but that she hopes to be here a whole lot longer. And Dolores, we hope you're here for a lot longer. Thank you very much for your 20 years. Next is Jim Skifferton, Sheriff's Department. Now, actually, it says 20 years. He's actually been here 23. He's one of these folks who came with us, left a little while, and then when he came back, we had to cut his time in half or whatever he was gone, and it's strange, but he's been with us 23 years. Started off in the Sheriff's Department in the Belknap area, and then went to Green Bay, and then to the property and evidence area. As he said, he's been all over the department. He went to operations and the narcotics officer, and is now sergeant and class coordinator in the training area. When I asked him about his more memorable moments, he said, again, it goes back to the history of being able to see all the various departments and really see how the entire department works as opposed to maybe just one particular area. When I asked him what he likes most, it was, again, the consistency of the job, the benefits, and most especially the people he's had a chance to work with and be around for 23 years that he's been with us. Jim, we appreciate that time, and we appreciate your commitment to the citizens of Tarrant County. Next is Cherie Southard with the purchasing office. Cherie has started in the county clerk's office in the marriage license area, I believe, and then went in that same area to the accounting department and to records management, and then went over to purchasing and has been there for the last 12 years. When I asked her about her more memorable moments, she recounted the fact that when the old courthouse celebrated its centennial celebration, that she had an opportunity to go over there, and they all dressed up, and then they gave tours, and she was one of the folks that helped with the tours. And then she said, unfortunately, as many of our employees have, she remembers the day that George Lott went into the courts and the shootings that were involved with that. When I asked her what she liked most, she said that she really enjoyed what she had a chance to get to do for the county. She enjoyed the WOW programs and the various picnics and employee appreciations day, the people that she's had a chance to work for. And she said, just overall, the county is just a great place to work. Cherie, we appreciate very much 20 years you've spent with Tarrant County. Thank you. Now next is Kathy Young, 20 years, Precinct 1. Kathy, we appreciate you very much. And we really felt for you. I mean, you had to work for Dion, and now you have to work with Commissioner Brooks. It's not quite as bad as having to work for Wilder, but it's, she actually started off, I know, I'll catch this later. Of course. I'm prepared for it. She actually started off working in the personnel area under Gerald Wright. And then after a year went to Precinct 1 and initially started out as the office administrator. Had an opportunity and took advantage and went back to school and then upon graduation, she became the community outreach coordinator. And when I asked her what she liked most, she said, it's being able to bring help to and to direct people to services that they're needing, and really kind of talked about the fact that a lot of times when folks are in need, it's just difficult for them to work with that need and at the same time try to figure out where they can go to get help. And so she said, I really enjoyed the opportunity to try to be that navigator through the system. She said, I love the people. She said, they're like a family up and down the line, that people love to reach out and help others, and that's the underlying current that we see in so many of our departments and so many of our employees as we go forward. She said, when I asked her if there's anything else, she said, it's the great career opportunities that the county has offered her and so many other people. And Kathy, we very much appreciate the time you've given us.
Judge, could I say just a word?
You bet.
Kathy, for my 19 years in county government, has been both my right hand and left hand. And she has pioneered that community outreach coordinator position. She's the one who helped train all the rest of them. I want to thank her for her support over all these years, and to introduce her mom, Mrs. Joanne Young, who has wintered with us. She's been with us since right before Christmas and is going back to Pennsylvania this weekend.
Well, normally it would be warmer here. Maybe you brought that cold weather with you. Well, welcome today. Thank you very much for coming out. Now, the next person on the list, Dennis Davison with CSCD, 25 years. I talked with Dennis, and he was not going to be able to be here. We did talk, and he reminded me that the first time he had an opportunity to meet me, and this will mean more to some of you folks from Northeast than it will others, was at a public meeting that I held in my first 6 months as county commissioner on the widening of Cheeks Fargo. And he remembered the little church where we met and where they almost did my service afterwards. But we had a good conversation, and Dennis sent his regrets for not being able to make it. And if you see him again, congratulate him on his 25 years with the county. Next is Jerry Stevens from the 323rd District Court. There's Jerry. Started out in County Criminal Court number 4 as the court reporter there, and then in '89 moved over to the 323rd under then Judge Moore. Is basically, when I asked him about his most memorable moment, he recounted the fact that in one of their cases that the TV show 48 Hours came out and was taping, and he remembers, and all of that stuff, just, the professionalism, the whole thing, and watching that being set up and going through that process. When I asked him what he liked most, he said the county had been so good to him and his family over the years, and that he loved the opportunity he's had to work with the people and not only the court area out there, but the whole juvenile area from that standpoint. He's grateful for the years he's had with the county, and he said, as I think back, just as I kind of mentioned to you 5-year employees earlier on, he said that I never thought I'd be here this long. He said the 25 years just is a blur to me as we go through there. Jerry, we want to thank you very much for the 25 years you've given us. Thank you. Next is Bob Half with Information Technologies. There's Bob. He started out in the IT area and has been an operator in that area for really his entire career. He's now a computer operator supervisor in the area. And when I asked him about the more memorable moments, he said, again, things have changed an awful lot in the 30 years that he's been with us. But he said, I really enjoyed the move from the administration over to the new Plaza building, and just went on and on about how good that Plaza building was from that standpoint as far as the IT. And that was one of the key considerations as we looked at that building, was how it was already set up and we felt like it would be a benefit to our IT department. Bob is one of these folks, again, who has given a tremendous amount beyond just the work time and the work commitment he's made to us. He was retired from the Air Force and spent 17 years as a reserve deputy in the patrol area of the Sheriff's Department. So, again, an example of someone who doesn't just work 8 to 5 and go home, but works 8 to 5 and probably works a lot longer than 8 to 5, and then goes and helps somebody else just out of that generous heart and that second mile giving. Bob, thank you very much for the 30 years you've given to Tarrant County. And our last individual, David Harold, 35 years with Tarrant County. David? Now, David started off as the night watchman out at Precinct 4, and then moved kind of into the office area, and now takes care of all the computers for Precinct 4, which means you probably have one. You hadn't found that one yet, have you?
More trouble. Just wait.
I've got them on both. I've kind of got them on both ends of me now. You two in the middle here kind of protect me.
We always do.
When I asked him what he liked most, again, it was the people, the different types of folks that he's had a chance to get to deal with over the 35 years he's been here at the county, the benefits and the people all up and down the line, the supervisors, the workers, everyone that he's had a chance to interact with over the years. When I asked him if there was anything else, he said, I've always enjoyed working for the county. He said, I never thought that I would make a career out of it, but he said it's been one of the best things and best things I could have done with my life. And I'll tell you what, David, we can't tell you how much we appreciate the 35 years you've committed to Tarrant County. $760 years of committed, dedicated service to the citizens of Tarrant County. And we really want to thank you, and let's give them all a big hand again. Refreshments, 504C, thank you again. We'll take just a short recess. And get started. Commissioner Brooks, I see you have a proclamation this morning.
Yes, I have a proclamation celebrating Tarrant County College Trinity River Campus's first annual celebration of African American History Month. It's already been presented. I move its ratification.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. You have before you the consent agenda.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Mays?
Thank you, Your Honor. Before we go into our section, I just want to advise you that we did lay a court communication out at your desk this morning. This is the backup for the sale of paper for the purchasing agents section. They had provided that information to our office yesterday, and we just simply failed to include it in the red folder, so our apologies. Members of the Court, we have 5 additional items that we'd like to bring to you this morning. The first one, we're requesting that the Court approve an amendment and consent to pool with EOG Resources. This concerns a oil and gas lease on county property.
Move approval.
A second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Members of the Court, on item number 2, we're requesting that the Commissioners Court approve an amended lease agreement between Tarrant County and the General Services Administration for the Department of Veterans Affairs on the resource connection.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Johnson, while you're out, we did do the consent agenda and the other items. Do you have any objections? Or
No.
Okay.
Members of the Court, we go to item number 3. We're requesting that the Commissioners concur with actions of the Board of Managers of the Hospital District and approve a renewal of a commercial lease agreement between the district and Oral and Maxillofacial Network.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Members of the Court, if we could go to item number 4, we're requesting that the Court accept the FY10 Indigent Defense Formula Grant Award from the Texas Task Force on Indigent Defense for FY10. This is the Formulary Grant Program in an amount of $769,003. This is an increase over last year's Formulary Grant Award of $2,945.
Move for approval.
And I'll second that and say that there'll be more money coming.
Good.
Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Then finally, members of the Court, on item number 5, we're requesting that the Court accept a grant award from DOE from the Recovery Act Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant Program in the amount of $2,399,300.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Your Honor.
David? Mr. Phillips?
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is requested that Commissioners Court approve Gilbane Building Company's request for bidders to provide bid bonds on bids of $100,000 or more for the jail project included in the 2006 Capital Improvement Program.
Move approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Is this standard procedure?
A few years ago, it was, Commissioner. Back several years ago, the Commissioners Court gave us some guidelines as not to require bid bonds on projects that are $100,000 or more. And originally, Gilbane had it in their bid documents to require a bid bond. I asked them to take it out so I could come back to Commissioners Court and get approval to put it back in.
What are the pros and cons of doing this?
I believe that it's got some definitely advantages. What it does, it tells us that an insurance company has reviewed the financial position of the bidders and feels, at least from a financial perspective, the bidder can perform the contract successfully. It also tells us that the insurance or surety company is ready and willing to provide a performance and payment bond at the time of execution. And also it tells us that the insurance company, should the bidder decide not to sign a contract at the time it needs to be signed, that the insurance company will pay the difference between the low bid and the second low bid premium up to 5% of the bid bond amount. But
And the cons?
and the cons, I've checked with a lot of folks. I think it's just a small hurdle to go through. There's no cost to the bidders, at least from the folks I've talked to. I've talked with the construction managers and some general contractors, also with an underwriter, bid bond, performance bond underwriter. And at this particular marketplace, there's no cost to folks to go out and get bid bonds. Of course, the performance bond still costs them. They probably wrap it back into the cost of the performance bond when they exercise it.
Any other questions? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Move to receive and file personnel agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file personnel agenda. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We have two additional items for the court. The second item, we're asking the court to approve a waiver of terminal benefits for JP3. This request involves an administrative clerk position, which is a pay grade 16, that will be vacated shortly. The JP is requesting a waiver. This is actually one of two positions that will be vacated in February, so they're going to be short-staffed. The incumbent has 125 vacation hours. The fiscal impact will be approximately $2,100, excluding fringe benefits.
Move for approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And our third and final item, we're asking the court to approve the American Fidelity Assurance Company renewal application. This is our stop-loss coverage, and the court actually approved coverage for 2010 in December of last year. This is simply the application.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Mr. Beecham.
Your Honor, other members of the court, we have four items for your consideration this morning. Our first item is a bid award recommendation for our bid number 2010-099. This is a bid for the credit union finish-out at the Plaza Building. Recommendation will be toward the low bidder, Regency Commercial Construction, amount of $379,156. If approved, we're also seeking contract approval as well as acceptance of the payment and performance bond. And apologize for not including a copy of the tabulation sheet. We told you who the low bidder was, but not the rest of them. Now you have that. We'll be sure that doesn't happen again.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 2 is another bid award recommendation for our bid number 2010-025. This is our annual contract for the purchase of soil compactors. Our recommendation will be toward a per unit price basis, awarding certain items to Holt Cat and Kirby Smith Machinery.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Number 3 is another bid award recommendation for our bid number 2010-034, the sale of recycled paper. Recommendation toward the high bidders, Green Star, the rate of $65 a ton for Gaylords and newsprint. Paper and Recycling Solutions, $223 a ton for Mixed Ledger. And Evergreen Fiber Sales at $135 a ton for cardboard.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Jack, just no hurry, but could you bring just a graph or something showing the value of paper? Is paper going up, going down? Has it been steady for maybe the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, something like this?
Yes, sir, we can do
However
that.
long we've
Been selling it for a
I think I
while.
say 3 or 4 years, because we've been doing it for a long time.
Quite a
just the
while.
last 3 years or so, just
Okay,
whether
we can do that,
up or down.
certainly.
Okay.
Our last item,
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. I got a system now that tells me how to do that.
yes, sir. This item in regards to our request for qualifications number 2010-088. This is an RFQ for professional engineering construction material testing for the ME's office, our new county jail project, and the correction center renovation project. We're seeking permission to conduct negotiations with the 3 highest scored vendors out of the 17 that responded.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Commissioner Brooks, you and Commissioner Johnson, I believe, have some interlocal agreements.
All right, just a second.
City of Benbrook.
Move approval of item 8N1 and 1A and B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve items 8N, 1A, and B. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Johnson?
Because mine been approved by the DA's office. I move approval of item 8N2, A and B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Any appointments? Briefing items, Mr. Manius. Whoops, we better go with the claims here. Everybody wants to get paid.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims, including the addendum. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Your
Now,
Honor.
briefing items.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have one item to bring to the court this morning. This is item A, which is an update on the H1N1 influenza. Ms. Brewer is here to address the court at this time.
Brewer?
Good morning. Texas and Tarrant County are experiencing sporadic flu activity. We are in flu season, and so we are still recommending that if you have not gotten either one of your flu vaccines, that you do so, and to observe the precautions. As a reminder, we just sent out a mailer to Tarrant County residents. Some of you have received it, I know, and some of you haven't yet, so perhaps today in the mail it will be there. It's front and back, English and Spanish, and it's just reminding everybody what the etiquette is for prevention and where you can go to get your flu shot. And speaking of which, on Saturday, we did have a exercise over in Arlington at Six Flags. The weather wasn't too good, so we had a light turnout, but it gave us and our staff another opportunity to exercise and our community partners, and we did give out 100 flu vaccines and hepatitis A. In addition, we did, as reported earlier, we did close our storefront locations at the end of January. We were down to single digits at some of the locations, and I think that's because people knew we were going to be closing, and we have moved into the schools. We're having a lot of success working with the ISDs. We've been in a number of them already, and we're seeing hundreds turn out at the school-based locations, and that's very good. In the month of February, we'll be in the Crowley ISD, Castleberry, Everman, Eagle Mountain, Saginaw, Birdville, Texas Wesleyan, Keller, St. Rita Catholic School, and Burleson ISD. And that, of course, doesn't include the ones we've already been to. We have got our Facebook up now for H1N1, and I'll be happy to try to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions? Thank you, Lou.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, that's all we have at this time.
Thank you. The Commissioners' Court will now recess the open session and proceed to closed session to discuss items exempted under Sections 551.071, 072, 074, 076, and 087 of the Texas Government Code. Having returned from closed session and having no matters to take up this time, we are adjourned.
Right. Have a good week, guys.
You too.
Yeah, we decide they're going to do